Good afternoon, 8th grade. Miss Thurston here with your ELA Week 2 grammar lesson, Compound Sentences. Nothing from this lesson should really be any new information to you. We have gone over compound sentences with our bell ringers in the past, and so I am hoping that as we go through this, it will jog your memory and you will be all set to move on when we get into ELA Remediation Week 3. But until then, let's tackle a good review together. If you followed along in Canvas and followed directions, you already have these notes in front of you downloaded and are ready to use your iBooks markup tools in order to complete these sentences. In order to complete these notes. I will go through the first part of the notes with you, but you are responsible for the other independent activities that begin on page 2 and continue through page 4 of these notes. That is how you are going to get credit for this activity. Complete the activities on your own, then upload them back into Canvas for grading. Are you ready to go? Hope so. All right. If you will recall, a clause is a group of words that have both a subject and a predicate. A subject is your noun, and your noun, of course, is a person, place, or thing. It can be common or proper, but remember, your subject can also be a pronoun. And pronouns take the place of nouns. If you're going to use a pronoun as the subject of your sentence, you need to make sure somewhere in your writing, preferably before you use that pronoun, of what that pronoun is taking the place of. In other words, its antecedent. Have you defined that pronoun? A clause also needs to contain a predicate. A predicate is another fancy word for a verb, your action of your sentence. The simple predicate is just the verb. Your complete predicate is the verb plus anything that comes after it. And usually anything that comes after a verb is clarifying information for your verb. How did they complete that action? When did they complete that action? And so on and so forth. A couple of other terms to review. An independent clause is one that can stand by itself. In other words, it has a subject, a predicate, and it is a complete thought. It does not need anything else in order to make it a complete sentence. Just the opposite of that, what we have talked about before, is a dependent clause. And a dependent clause is just what it sounds like. It cannot stand by itself. It is missing one of the 3 components that make it a complete sentence, either the subject, the predicate, or the complete thought. Earlier in the year, we used the analogy of you and your parents. You are dependent upon your parents because you don't pay your own bills. You still rely on them for food, shelter, and clothing. If you want to be independent, pay your own bills. Take it from an adult. Being an adult is not easy. All right, moving on to the main part of our lesson. A simple sentence contains one independent clause. In other words, it's simple. It gets right to the point. The dog walked across the street. Nothing fancy or complex about that. We have a subject, the dog, a predicate, walked, and a complete thought, across the street. However, a compound sentence takes 2 independent clauses and makes them into one sentence. Again, just 2 simple sentences with no other dependent clause. It gets right to the point. It takes two related independent clauses and joins them together. Well, how in the world does it do that? Sorry for the shaking there. All right, the first way or the first kind of compound sentence is to take two independent clauses and join them with a comma and a conjunction. Conjunction, junction. What's your function? Oh, come on. You know I had to go there. Your conjunctions. We've gone over these before. Your conjunctions are remembered using the acronym FANBOYS. And FANBOYS was the acronym to remember the following conjunctions: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. If you can remember FANBOYS, you can remember the most common conjunctions. Take a look at our example sentence. Eagles are beautiful birds, but they make terrible pets. We need to ask ourselves, if this is a true compound sentence, do we have a comma and a conjunction, and do we have two independent clauses? Well, let's go through the steps. Yes, we have a comma, and yes, we have a conjunction. It's the B in FANBOYS, but. Now, are both parts of my sentence what comes before the conjunction and what comes after the conjunction? Are they independent clauses? And yes, they are. I have a subject, which is eagles. I have a predicate, which is are. And I have a complete thought, beautiful birds. So everything before my conjunction is a complete thought. Well, let's take everything after my conjunction. Do I have a subject? Yes, I do. They. Do I have a verb? Make. Do I have a complete thought? Terrible pets. I have one independent clause, two independent clauses, and now I have my conjunction. So yes, I have a compound sentence. Well, let's try one more. Let's see if I can pick on Mr. June since he was out last week. Mr. June is always hungry, comma, yet he never has his own food. And I say this just to pick on him because he wasn't here last week. So Mr. June is always, forgot a word, hungry, yet he never has his own food. So do I have a complete thought? Mr. June is always hungry. Yes, I have a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. He never has his own food. Subject, verb, complete thought. Well, I didn't do too shabby because there's my comma and my conjunction. The second type of compound sentence doesn't stray too far from what we were talking about. It is two independent clauses joined together by a semicolon. And we did go over this in our bell ringers. A semicolon is that nice dot with a little comma on its end. And remember that semicolon joins. It does the same thing our conjunctions does. It joins two independent clauses to make a compound sentence. Take a look at our example sentence. I lost my mittens. They must be here somewhere. I lost my mittens is a complete thought. I have my subject and I have my predicate. This would have been fine as a sentence by itself. However, it's related to the second part of this sentence, what comes after the semicolon. They must be here somewhere. Well, since they is talking about mittens, I can join these two related independent clauses together with a semicolon. Subject, predicate. They're related. I've joined them. I've got a good conjunction. I can move on with life. Let's do one more example sentence. And this time I think I'll pick on Miss Mickler. So, Mrs. Mickler speaks loudly. You can hear her down the hall. Since both of these independent clauses or simple sentences were talking about Miss Mickler, I simply joined them together with a semicolon. Right there. There's my semicolon. So, Miss Mickler speaks loudly. That's a complete thought. I have a subject, predicate, second half of my sentence, subject, predicate. Now, don't tell them I picked on them that badly. Their feelings might get hurt. That'll stay just between you and me, right? Okay, here's the next part of your assignment. You are to rewrite this paragraph to include a compound sentence. Because these are the independent activities, I am not walking you through this. However, I will give you some help. When you're trying to create a compound a compound sentence from two independent clauses that are related, take the easy way out, guys. Pick two sentences that are short and sweet. If you're trying to join two long sentences, you're going to run the risk of making a run-on sentence by not joining them correctly. So here's your hint for the day. Take these first two very simple sentences and join them. And I'll give you one further hint. I would join them using a comma and one of your fanboys conjunctions. Okay. That's all the hint I am giving you for the rest of these activities. Join those. Don't forget to write the rest of the paragraph. Yes, you must write the rest of the paragraph. Don't be lazy. This next part asks you to take your skills to the next level. It's not homework, but you are more than welcome to finish it at home in order to meet the deadline. It's asking you to circle all the verbs and underline the subjects. Then you have to identify whether it is simple or compound. Remember your hint for if on how to tell simple from compound. A simple sentence will only have one subject. A compound sentence will have more than one subject or more than one predicate. Please, you remember those hints. A simple subject will have a simple a simple sentence will only have one subject and one predicate. A compound sentence will have more than one subject or more than one predicate. And your last one, your last activity for grammar asks you to write two of your own sentences. So please give me two good sentences. All right, guys, that's it for your grammar lesson. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to ask. Hope you guys have a super day.